What is up, guys? This is a very powerful tutorial. Near the end of the tutorial, I'll show you guys how to do the walk animation on the skateboard here, to where you can change the walk animation. I also show you guys how to do the grinding with two buttons instead of just the X button. So I'm pressing X and square to start the grinding up now. So I'm gonna show you guys everything that I forgot to mention near the end of the tutorial, since this is so long. This keyframe right here changes this to once. So whenever you see this keyframe, me talking about that, remember that. This keyframe changes this to sustain. Both of these are on keep changes. This is how I did the walk animation. So remember that. It's left stick inside of an AND gate, on switch inside of an AND gate, on switch also turning on a keyframe. I think this keyframe is just in the foot on top of the skateboard, and it also turns off procedural walk. This on switch, or no, this AND gate, the result is what the walking is. So with the walking, this keyframe is a nothing at all but set to linear. Then we have our footsteps pretty much. So one, that's what it looks like for one. So notice the feet separation. Two, more of a kick to the side. Then three, reset the foot to the beginning. Alright guys, peace out. I hope you guys enjoy this tutorial. It is powerful. Don't forget to subscribe. Check out my channel playlist for individual tutorials on logic, sculpting, animation, music, and more. And now we're going to get to the grinding effect. What's up, guys? Don't forget to subscribe. Check out my channel playlist for individual tutorials on logic, sculpting, animation, music, and more. This is not the walk animation tutorial. That's pretty much how you'd get, his foot to always stay on, the skateboard. This right here is actually a more parkour tutorial, which I have my parkour tutorial up. But this is, somebody really has been asking, how do you do this kind of thing in Dreams Ps4? And I understand why, it would be complicated, because in order to do it easily, you have to know multiple things on how to, make grinding and skate parks and stuff. What I want you guys to know is that there's a trigger zone right here. You can put different trigger zones that can make different types of I want to say flips, but it's really tricks, but it can be flips too if you know how to animate it. So again, it's a parkour animation tutorial with the proper logic involved, which is really hard to obtain this knowledge without taking the time to actually understand Dreams. But I'm just gonna give you guys this breakdown. I'm gonna make the tutorial look cool. We see the stadium here, so just so we can understand. So we are learning how to do that. It doesn't work unless we are in the right part of the trick thing here, and it looks really great. But if you were to do one right here or one over here, let's say, around this area of the obstacle, then you would want a different trick to happen. And I'm just pressing X, right? So it turns towards it, and we get our grinding done. And that could have went on longer. There's a trigger zone at the end here that deactivates his grinding effect linear forward. So you would want to put a different trigger zone here if you want to make a different type of trick to get over that part of the obstacle course. As you can see, this is an extension to the parkour tutorial. This is how you can do stuff outside, like the stuff that you guys really want to do. This right here is this is it in a nutshell. So like I said, trigger zone right here, this one deactivates the effect. This is what actually has the effect inside of it for the sparks, or This right here isn't the effect for the sparks, but this right here is what's making it follow a tag. Here's my settings. If you like my settings, the rail tag. This is the rail tag, but it's following it on only the X axis, not the Y. So turn that down. Turn down to Z. Leave on the dampening, and connect this affected object to the affected object, which is our player. And you're pretty much done with the follower. This is the only follower we need. 100, 100, 6.3. Then we have our animations while he's grinding. So the first one is this. So I wanted to make it to where it just starts out. So there is no transition effect. It just starts out, and his foot's now on the skateboard, and you know, all that great stuff. However you want to get your grinding. If you want it to look more like Sonic, they animate it like Sonic. And then I just duplicated the same two keyframes. So this one waves the arms down. This one waves the arms, you know, the first beginning. Then I just duplicated that a maximum of this amount of times. And that's pretty much the animation part. This lower keyframe, I guess it is an animation of the feet maybe, but that's not really what I made this keyframe for. So what's this keyframe for then? This keyframe turns off these two. Should be the only thing that it's messing with. So L1 and square on your puppet to get to this menu, and have a keyframe, and that keyframe has a split right here before it starts. And it may have also adjusted the feet, but that could also just be one of the upper keyframes up here, so just so you guys know. And I also, before I even started programming, I turned down the motion controls. And I guess auto look, I guess I have that on. I guess that doesn't matter. You can turn off these three if they're getting in the way before you even start programming. You can turn off these two if you need to. The most important thing is how high he's jumping. So he actually jumps high enough to get on top of the rail, which is why the X button is the trick button, because it makes the puppet jump. But something should deactivate the controls for your control sensor. So something is deactivating the controls to where he can't move anymore. So the jump button is the trick button, and that's how he's hopping. But once he's hopped, he can't jump until he gets to the end of here, and that's the circle thing. That is connected to the detection, is connected to a keyframe inside of there that turns off this, these two, the mover and the lookout rotator, and turns off the gyroscope. The gyroscope is what's making the player look forward once you start that trick. You have to align the gyroscope just right, just so you guys know. Let me show you guys how it looks to have it aligned just right. It will look something like this. This little circle part will be on the side. You can press the play button and mess with it by pressing R2 to get your character looking in the right direction that he needs to look, so just mess around with it. That's what that gyroscope looks like. Here's the gyroscope settings. And the AND gate here. Not this AND gate. This AND gate. Detection of this square box, so you don't want this too big, is in the B, and then the X button should be in the A. And then once it is detected and you know the result happens, it starts up this, and this should just be an animation. Oh, that's the jump. Okay. So if you look at my first parkour tutorial, you'll understand what this is. This is nothing. Put this in here and then set it to linear. And then this is just grabbing the puppet, moving him upward without being scoped in, and then pressing L1 and X with that same keyframe while it's recording. Now you press L1 and X. So let me just show you what I did with another keyframe real quick. Press circle. I did this. So now the movement of the puppet has been recorded. And now we can animate the limbs with that same keyframe. I actually didn't know this during the first parkour tutorial, but I guess you can do that so you don't have to use multiple keyframes. Because whenever you animate without it being scoped in like this, it's actually moving the actual position of the puppet, but you can scope in afterwards and then move the limbs around. So that's what this keyframe is. Let me delete that keyframe that we just did as an example. And it's not that long of a timeline. The result of this AND gate is inside of there. On end trigger, turns on this look at rotator, this mover, and this gyroscope. It also turns on, or at least it should, turn on this outside timeline, which is the thing that I explained in the beginning that has the follower inside of it. And this keyframe, or not this keyframe, a keyframe inside of your timeline should also, one that's not on keep changes, turn on this emitter. This is the sparks emitter. Here's the settings for the spark: 0.1, infinity, infinity, 0, set to 0 right here. The object that you want to be the sparks, continuous, local space, recycle. Power on with the keyframe that has it on end trigger or inside of the timeline. You want it inside the timeline because the keyframe on the end trigger, you need that to keep changes so that mover and look at rotator gyroscope stay on, and the timeline, which you could also put inside of your puppet microchip, stays on. This timeline has the follower and the rail animations when you're grinding, and it also has a keyframe that turns off these two, which is animations you really don't need. And turn towards is turned off, followers turned off, so on. So there is a tag up here. This tag is called a rail, and that's what the follower is following. This look at rotator shouldn't be looking at a tag. So here's the look at rotator and here's the mover settings. Just pause the video if you need to. This scene space is plugged inside of this direction of movement. The Y is pretty much flying, so anytime you see a Y turn down, that's so the character doesn't fly whenever it's colliding with something. Usually, notice the dampening 100. And you can turn up the speed of the grinding as you please. I think I deleted a microchip in here, but that's not important, but just so you guys know. Let me see here. You may need to turn off this jump animation with something. So this keyframe is also turning off the jump animation and the run animation. The one that's on end trigger, the timeline that you use to start the jump to get onto the rail. The one where I showed you how to do position movement and jump animation at the same time with one keyframe a few minutes ago maybe. And what this trigger zone at the end here is colliding with is the puppet right here. And what it does whenever it senses this guy, and I'm using this, but you can use any one of these you want up here. Whenever it senses it, it sends off a trigger or a signal to a second AND gate that is connected to a keyframe. This keyframe turns off the look at rotator, turns off the mover, turns off the gyroscope, and turns off this timeline that makes your character follow the rail on a linear movement. So what you want to do is also plug in something. It doesn't have to be this rotator, but it has to be something. It could be a variable into the B. It has to be something that can detect whenever you're grinding through this trigger zone. I just used this, the strength, and plugged it into the B, but you can use a variable. So let's say on end trigger it sets the variable to 0 point whatever or 1, and then through a variable modifier, and then you're using a calculator, and if that variable is equal to that amount, then it will reset this. I'm just using rotation strength inside of here. If the rotation strength is strong enough, then it'll light up a signal in here to make it to where this resets everything to where you jump off of the rail at the end here. So if this puppet collides with this, is detected by this, with everything, with all the prerequisites met, then it's going to reset everything to where you can hop off the rail and use your controller again. You might want to make it to where within this timeline there's something that makes it to where this control sensor is disabled. And then if you want to make it to where you can add tricks to it, you can add another control sensor, and you can make it to where that control sensor makes it to where you can do animated tricks while you're grinding. And I can have a tutorial for that if you guys really want it, but for the most part, I think now that you guys know this, you guys might be able to do it yourselves, but just in case. So we're jumping, and really all you want to do is mess with the run animation to fix this. So what you would want to do, if you're really making a skate game, just if you want to like fix that, it should be as simple as going here. There's this. There's this. Oh no, we're gonna have to make a tutorial for that. Unless like it's probably gonna look funny. I think what you want to do is actually delete this run thing. The tutorial is pretty much done also. This right here is some extra stuff, so if you guys want to stick around and watch me figure this out, you guys can, but this is pretty much how you do it. I just want to see if I can figure this out real quick for you guys. Okay. And then what you would want to do is and then you'd want to animate some walking with your feet. Pressing circle now. Make sure this is on sustain. You can make it as fast as you want. So this is pretty much it, but you gotta mess with this timeline. Let's just see. That's definitely not it. At this point, you're just messing with the animations to get that kick with the foot. Okay, I know why. We're missing a frame for the beginning. And that frame should be just the puppet, his beginning position. I don't want to mess with the foot right now. If I'm correct. And then you want to set this timeline to loop, I think. And the reason why you want to set it to loop is because there's something in the power port, so it should only do this when you're moving. And this is what you guys are probably wanting to figure out, how to truly do this stuff. So, oh yeah, crap, there's actually something important. There is actually an invisible wall on top of this rail. You may not need it, but there is one there. Just so you guys know. It doesn't really do anything other than help the character stay up there. And I want to make it to where you have to like press 2 buttons to get that trick started. X plus square. So you do an AND gate for that. And we should just be able to use this one AND gate here. But I almost want to use 2 AND gates. Or not going to. This way you should just be able to jump next to it. Oh wait, oh okay. Whoa. If you do it like that, there might be a glitch that we might have to fix. And that glitch is probably the wall. You may not even need the wall. Let's see what happens when we get rid of that wall, because I was being really careful. Okay, so it's not the wall. I don't even think you need the wall. What I think it is while this is animating, you've got to get it to where this turns off. Yeah, you just got to disable the controls or do this, I think. Yeah, that's what you gotta do. Also, there's a keyframe that turns the skateboard to the side, if you notice that. So somewhere in your animations, add that. And we'll figure out how to, you know, get a score going while you can do this. Because I know a lot of people are going to enjoy this one. Yeah, that's real good. That's real good. Yeah, it's super long, but it's worth it. It's worth it. I wanted to make a super long tutorial like everybody else. And if we're going to do that, might as well do it with something, you know, spectacular. To let people know my thought process while we're dreaming, you know what I'm saying? Because I feel like that kind of thing is overlooked. The fact that people might want to know your thought process while you're dreaming. But for streaming, that would be dope. But I feel like even me, and I've been streaming for 1 year, and I've had 80 viewers in my stream. Even I might be insecure doing that. So that's something you'd have to get used to, just like streaming. But that's like on a whole different level, because you don't want people to call you stupid. I think that's what it is. People just got to get used to that. But alright guys, don't forget to subscribe, follow me on Dreams, and follow me on on Dreams. I'm Young Text YouTube on Dreams. Follow me on Twitch. I'm Young Text on Twitch, and subscribe to me on YouTube. I have more tutorials on my channel playlist. Peace out guys. I hope this helps. If I missed anything, let me know in the comment section below. Turn this on so you guys can see the gyroscope. Alright.